And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game called String Savanna. Savanna, this is a game that is like, I guess, the third in a trilogy. We had String Railways, then there was another String Railways game where it was like String Railways Part 2, basically. This is String Savanna. This is a completely different game, but uses the same idea of you placing strings onto a table. Now, as silly as that may seem, and when I opened the box and pulled out, some people were like, what is this game? But the game is actually quite interesting. Let me show you how it works. String Safari takes up a lot of room. You're going to take this big circular string and place it to make a field. I kind of made an oval here. You can make a square. You can make any kind of field you want. There's also a pile of coins here. They're pretty cool coins. They look like they've been under the sea. But the only problem with these coins is they don't tell you what values they are. So, you know, we just like wrote it down and put them on a piece of paper and said yellows are 1s, reds are 5s, purples are 3s, etc. So they're there to keep track of how many points you have. Now, at the beginning of the game, you're going to place in the middle of the table randomly, you're going to put animal tiles and terrain tiles. This here is a terrain tile. It's woods. If it says omnivore +2 on it. And over here, you can see one of the animals. There's a fenner fox. You can see that it tells you different things about the card in the top corner. It shows you that it's an omnivore. It shows that it's nocturnal. It shows that it's from the dog family, and it shows that it's worth 2 victory points. Compare that to, let's see, all the way down here. We can see here this Savanna monkey, also an omnivore. It's a daytime animal from the ape family and worth 1 point. And so there's all different animals, each of these animals. This guy's a carnivore. There are vegetarians, and there are different kinds of terrain that are on the board. So you're going to put out 16 animals randomly and all the different terrain pieces. Each player is going to draw an animal card to their hand, and everyone also is going to take a goal card and place it in front of them. Now, these are examples of goal cards that are here on the side of the board. You can see this one here says primates ×3, and that's worth 3 victory points. And the next one there shows question marks ×3 and worth 0 victory points. So what you'll do is you'll have one of these cards in front of you, and on your turn, the first thing that you are to do on your turn is to take the animal that you have in your hand and place it somewhere on the table. It has to be at least 1 finger length away from the other cards. You then are going to take another string that's not quite as big as the string out there. This is the string of the animals that you are trying to get within your region. And so let's say, for example, I'm trying to capture omnivores in my string. So I'm looking at the table for where omnivores are, and so I say, okay, here's a good spot for omnivores. And the string is not allowed to touch any tile as it moves around. It can touch the outside string. It can even cross the outside string if you want to. So let's say this is what I've done here. Because in front of me, I have this research card here, which says omnivores ×2. And I've just gotten 3 of them. So that would give me 6 points. I enclosed this tile here, which shows the omnivore symbol, which says as long as I've got 1 omnivore in my enclosed area, I'll get a bonus of 2 points. So I got 8 points here in this circle. As the game progresses, there's going to be more and more animals on the table. Now, after I've enclosed this circle, I can take 1 cube of my color and place in one of the animals in that circle. You can't place a cube on an animal that already has a cube on it. At the end of the game, each animal that you have a cube on is worth points equal to the value of that animal. The research tile that I have is done, and I'm going to then take a new research tile from one of the face-up ones here. I'll draw a new animal card, and then I'll pick a new research tile. This one gives a question mark, the miscellaneous animals ×3. This will continue. There will be a certain number of rounds depending on how many players there are. For example, in a 4-player game, everyone's going to do this 5 times. At the end of the game, you will add up points for all the points on the research cards that you've gotten, for each animal that you control, and for all the chips that you have controlled. There's a few other, or that you've gotten over the course of the game. There's a few other rules some of the cards, for example, this card here, which shows that you need to get animals in the daytime. It also shows a rock on it. That means you need to have a rock. There's a few rocks on the board. You need to have one of those inside your enclosure. There needs to be some sort of rock. The different terrain effects usually just give you bonuses. Like this just gives you +2 if you get this one. This one gives you +2 as long as you have an herbivore in your thing. There are other cards that tell you, these gold cards that tell you must touch the outside. As the game progresses, you'll just sit there and you're figuring out ways to stretch it to fit in as many different things as you possibly can. Most points is the winner. I really enjoy this game. I have a blast playing the game. I mean, it's a lot of fun trying to figure out just what is the best way to enclose. The string is such a great mechanic as you try to place it in such a way to enclose all the different tiles that you're placing out there. And as you play your animal tile and look at your gold tile, I mean, many times the animal tile you play has nothing to do with your gold tile. But as the game progresses, the animal that you draw, you then look at the golds and say, which gold do I want to pick that will match this animal? Or forget this animal, there's a gold there that matches nocturnal animals, and there's a whole group of them over here in the corner, and I can get a lot of points with that. And it's not a super heavy thinking game, but it's a neat game because you're trying to enclose these areas and everybody's watching you stretch and saying, oh, I don't think you're going to be able to get that extra tile in there as you try to grab one more tile. You know, you got to be careful not to move the animals, but it's easy going. Now, component-wise, the material for the string is, I don't know, it's just good string. It's basically shoelace string, and it works really well in this regard. The card quality is okay. I like the artwork a lot. These little chips, which are definitely from an old game called Nautilus about submarines, but they're cool chips. It's just that you don't know what value they are. And then, well, there's cubes. But it all fits into a small box, and it's a cool game here because this is a game that's really easy to teach and families can play. This is a great entry type game, and yet I had a good time playing it with a group of gamers also. Works well with 3 to 5 players. Turns aren't that long, and it's really interesting to watch the other people try to enclose areas on their turn. Claiming different animals. You know, some gold cards don't give as many points, but the gold card itself is worth a lot of points, so you have to balance that out. Other gold cards are worth 0 points, but if you play the string correctly, you have an opportunity to rake in a lot of points with them. It seems very balanced, pretty cool. I hope that somebody picks it up and brings it to the, I mean, there are English rules in it, and the cards are both English and Japanese. I'd love to see a full-fledged, nicer edition of this, but for now, I'm certainly going to hang on to this one because it's just a fun little game.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.